Hi everybody, it's Miss Caitlin with Plant the Seed, and today we are at the Ross Early Learning Center to do another round of take-home kit videos. And this time our theme is all about plentiful pollinators. So pollinators are lots of different insects and animals, and even humans can be pollinators too. But some pollinators we're going to learn about in these kits are going to be butterflies and bees. So that's just a few of the different pollinators that we see in our garden and that help pollinate our beautiful world. So let's go ahead and get started with our first activity. And our first activity is going to be planting zinnias. Zinnias are a beautiful type of flower that grow big and they come in lots of different colors and they attract our pollinators. So they'll attract those butterflies, the bees, even wasps are also awesome pollinators as well. So out of our kits, we're going to need our pot, your plastic pot. You're going to need your baggie of soil, and then you're also going to need your zinnia seeds. So I just have mine right here in my hand. And something that's not in your bag, but you also need is going to be some water so we can give our zinnias a big drink after we're done planting them. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna dump your soil in your pot like I've already done, just like that. And then the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take your pointer finger and you have 5 zinnia seeds in your take-home kit. So we're going to need to make 5 holes in our pot so our zinnias each have a hole to grow in. So I'm gonna go ahead and make 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 holes in my soil, and then I'm going to take my seeds and I'm going to put 1 seed in each of the holes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I have my zinnia seeds in there, and now I'm going to cover them with the soil. Until they're all covered, I'm just going to push it down lightly on top. And then the last thing we're going to make sure we do is give our zinnias a big drink. And so I have my watering can right here, and I water them, and as I'm watering them, I'm also going to wish them good luck. I say, grow big little seeds, you got this, I believe in you. We're going to fill them up, and you want to fill your pot up until water drains out the bottom, because that means you gave it a big drink, and they are getting used to their new home inside of their pot. And now you'll want to put this in a sunny windowsill, and you can even put it outside whenever it gets warmer. If you have somewhere outside, you can put it. And you'll just want to check every couple of days to see if it's dry or if it still feels wet. But every 2 to 3 days, yeah, just check to make sure it's still wet in there. And then in about 7 to 10 days, you should see some zinnia sprouts start to happen. Awesome, so that's our first activity. Let's move on to our next. All right, so now it's time for our next activity. And in this activity, we are going to be learning about and also making the different parts of a flower. And if you have any questions about what the different parts that we're going to talk about do, all of the definitions for the different parts are provided on your activity sheet with the definition section, talking about the different parts and why they're important for our flowers. But what you're going to need for this activity is you're going to need your blue piece of construction paper out of your bag. You're going to need your green half piece of felt. You're going to need your brown piece of construction paper. You're also going to need your green piece of construction paper, your red piece of construction paper, your 4 pipe cleaners, your 2 small pieces of green string, your brown pipe cleaner, and then also your yellow puffball. And then 2 things you're going to need that aren't included in your kit are going to be glue and also scissors. And if at any point you have any questions about what this is going to look like whenever it's all together, because we're going to do it together, but if you want to see what the end result is going to look like, there's also a picture at the bottom of your activity pages as well, showing you what we're about to create. So the first thing I did with this is I took out my blue piece of paper and I glued down my green piece of felt. And then on top of that, I cut off just a small sliver of my brown construction paper for the soil that our flower is going to grow out of. So you have the soil that our flower is going to grow out of, and it's going to grow into the grass, and then it's going to grow up into the beautiful blue sky. So I have all of these pieces glued down. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to trace some of the different parts of our flower onto this green piece of paper. So over here, I have traced 4 leaves that I'm going to put onto the stem of my flower. So you can go ahead and trace 4 leaves. They kind of look like footballs. And then this shape here is going to be the different parts of our flower. This first one at the bottom is the receptacle of our flower. These two little parts on either side that kind of look like leaves are the sepal of our flower. This here at the bottom is going to be the ovary of our flower. This here in the middle, this long piece, is the style of our flower. And then these pieces at the top are our stigma of our flower. And once again, all of these different parts you can see in that last page of the activity sheets if you have any questions about the different shapes you need to draw. And then we're going to take out our red piece of paper and we're going to trace just 3 petals here as well, and this is going to go on the very top part of our flower. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors. I'm going to cut out these different pieces so we can glue them on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to cut out all of my leaves and then my receptacle, my sepal, my ovary, my style, and my stigma. I'm going to cut these all out, and then I'm also going to cut out my petals. So I'll see you back in a second so we can move on to our next step. All right, so I cut out all of my leaves, my petals, and then also the different parts of the inside of my flower as well. And so we're gonna push these aside for just a second because we're gonna move on to our pipe cleaners. And now we have 4 pipe cleaners, and what we're gonna do is these are gonna act as the stem of our flower. So we're just gonna kind of twist them all together, just kind of like this. And twist them all together at the bottom. So they all look like this. And then these different parts, these different ends of the top are actually going to be the different like branches that our leaves are going to come off of. So we're going to leave 2 on the sides, just kind of sticking out like this. And then these 2 middle parts are going to continue to twist together so they form the stalk of our flower. So we're going to keep twisting them around so it looks something like this kind of with these branches. And then what we can do now is we can glue this down. The easiest way to glue down pipe cleaners that I've found is you take them and you glue them, you put the glue down first and then you stick the pipe cleaner on top. However, whenever we put down the different pieces of our flower, we want to make sure it starts here at the soil because we're also going to put roots down here at the bottom that go down into the soil of our plant. And you know, actually before I glue this down, I'm going to trim off, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut a couple of these pieces to make them a little bit smaller so they stay on my page. Trim the bottom. Might need an adult to help you with these. Pipe cleaners can be hard to cut through. If they're too hard to cut through too, you can just kind of twist them on top of each other and just make it a little bit longer, a little bit thicker. I'm just going to cut these just like that. And then, like I said, I'm going to start this right at the top of my soil. I'm just going to put down some glue here and then put it up the length of my flower. And I'm just going to take it and I'm going to glue it down. It might take a little bit to stick, so I need to hold it down for a few seconds. Just press, press, press. Make sure it's sticking to that glue. And then the next part of what we're going to do is we're going to glue down our roots. And so you're going to take your pipe cleaner and you're actually going to need half of your brown pipe cleaner, so you can go ahead and cut it in half. Once again, this might be something you want a parent to help you with or just a family member because they can be kind of hard to cut. And then we're just going to make some roots that we're going to put down at the bottom because our plant wouldn't be able to drink or to eat or to get any nutrients, any food if it weren't for the roots of the plant. So they're super important that we put them down here in our soil. Those are going to be my roots. Once again, just hold down your pipe cleaner. It's okay if it doesn't stick perfect, so we just need it to stick enough. Perfect. And then the next part, actually my brown one isn't wanting to stick too much. Just needs to be held down a little bit longer. There we go. And then the next part is I'm going to put my leaves on my different parts, my different pipe cleaners that are sticking up. I'm going to put my leaves. Our leaves are super important because they also help to make food for our plants. So it's important that we have these as part of our flower. Oh no, my stem just moved. Go, there's one. And also, if the glue isn't working for you, you can always use tape to help glue down the pipe cleaners too, if your glue isn't holding them down super well. There's another leaf. And next leaf. And then I have one more leaf, so I'm going to put it right here. Just add another leaf at the bottom. So this is looking great so far. And then we're going to take this part of our receptacle, of our seed bowl, of our ovary, our style, our stigma, and we're going to glue it at the very top of the stem of our flower. So just put some down. But actually, before we glue this, we need to put down our petals first. So let's put down our petals because this part right here will go on top of our petals. So I glued down my petals. Sorry, I want to make sure you see this. There we go. I glued down my petals and then I glued down my receptacle, my sepal, my ovary, my style, and my stigma down as well. So now we have our roots, we have our stem, we have our leaves, we have our petals, and then we have this green middle part of our flower. I also added some tape just to help my pipe cleaners stay down in places where the glue wasn't sticking. And so next we have our green string, and this is going to work as the filament of our flower. And so you're going to take out these two small pieces of string, and I'm just going to cut mine down a little bit so it fits on the inside of my flower, the inside petal part. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to glue it down on top of this green part right here. So you can take your glue and just kind of lay it down where we're going to be putting this string. Just put it down like this. And then just stick it down with your fingers. This likes glue a little bit better than the pipe cleaners do. And then the last thing is that we have to add our anthers at the very top of our filament. And so we can take our scissors and we can cut our pom-pom in half because we're going to have these on both sides of where the string comes off. So there it is, my puffball. I'm going to just use a little bit like this, and I'm going to put it at the very top. My glue comes out. There we go. So I'm going to stick it right up here. And then I'm going to tear off just a little bit more. I'm going to put it at the very top of the other side of our filament. Perfect. So this is what our flower looks like now. This is our 3D model of our flower with all of our different parts. But now it's going to be time for us to label it. So I'm going to grab my marker and we're going to label all these different parts of the flower. So the first part we have are our roots down here. So I'm going to write roots. And then the brown part, just right here to the roots, to the brown part at the bottom. And then this is also our soil. Remember, the brown at the bottom is our soil. So we have our roots and then we have our soil. And then this, the green part, remember, is our grass. That's our grass. And then we have this green, remember these green pipe cleaners all twisted together. That is the stem of our flower. So I'm going to put a little arrow there pointing to our stem. And then these green things up here are going to be our leaves. So I'm just going to point to this one right here, and I'm going to mark it leaf. Perfect. Then As we move up to the top of our flower, there's a lot more small parts. So I'm going to grab a pen so it's a little bit easier for me to label them. So we have this part right here in the middle of our green, and that is going to be the receptacle. Perfect. And then this right here, these parts on the side that look like little leaves, these are our sepals. So there's a sepal there, and then there's a sepal on the other side. And then remember, these red parts back here, these are going to be the petals of our flowers. I'm going to put that over here. And then the green string, those are our filaments. Remember, if you want to know what any of these parts of the flower do, we have all the definitions on our activity pages for you. So that's our filament there. And then this yellow part at the top is our anther. And then the pieces inside of this green part, here in the middle is the ovary of our flower. This long part in the middle is our style. I'm actually just going to write it on it because I'm running out of room to label everything. And then at the very top, these little things that look kind of like fingers, kind of like fingers at the top, that's our stigma. So these are all parts of our flower, and they're all labeled so we know what each thing is. And then you know all the different parts from whenever you're going outside and you're looking for the different parts of the flower to put on your piece of contact paper. But I hope you like this. I hope that you enjoyed this as much as I did, and we would love to see pictures of what you made. If you want to tag Plant the Seed on Facebook or Instagram, we would love to see what your flowers looked like. Right, so for our next activity, we're going to need to pull out our 2 sheets of contact paper, and then we're going to need to go outside because we're going to be looking for the different parts of a flower. So I'm going to go around outside in the garden here at Ross. You can go outside around your yard if you have a yard, or if you have a sidewalk where some grass grows and flowers grow, or a nearby park, and we can go ahead and look for the different parts of the flower that we just learned about in our previous activity. But before we actually go look for those, what you're going to do is your contact paper, there's the side, there's not any stickiness right now, right? And so what you're going to do is you're going to peel off the contact paper itself. I know you can't see it really. And then you're just going to put it sticky side up on top of the paper it came on. So this way we can go around, and I'm just going to stick one side down and then kind of bring it around and stick the other side down as well. So then I have the sticky side facing up, so whenever I find the different parts of the flower, I can just go ahead and stick them down. All right, let's get started. All right, so now I'm walking around the garden. I'm looking for different flowers, and I'm looking for the petals, I'm looking for the stems, and I'm also looking for the leaves of the flower, which we just learned about all those parts of the flower. So let's see if we can find them now out in the garden. The first thing I found is going to be our dandelion, and I'm going to go all the way to the bottom of this dandelion, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick it. So here we have our petals of our flower, and then here we have our stem down at the bottom. So let's see what else we can find. Ooh, I see some other pretty purple flowers. You see the flower that is purple there at the top, and then you see the leaves on the side, and then the stem at the bottom. So this has the petals, leaves, and stem that we're all looking for. Let's see if we can find some other things. Ooh, I'm going to pick this clover right here. And this has some leaves, and it also has the stem that we're looking for too. Let's see if we can find anything else. Ooh, here are some pretty ones right here. These yellow and purple flowers are called Johnny Jump Ups. And so I'm actually gonna pick this one right here. I'm gonna get it. And you'll see those purple and yellow things are the petals on the flower. And then on the side, we have the stem, and on the back of the flower, we have those leaves right there too. So let's go ahead and stick these all to our piece of contact paper. So with our contact paper sticky side up, we're going to start to attach the different flowers, the different petals, stems and leaves that we found on our different plants. So you'll see right now I have my dandelions stuck to the sticky side of the paper, and then I also have my stem that I found attached too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my other things, like my Johnny Jump Up I just found, and you can just choose wherever you want and just stick it sticky side down. So I'm going to stick the petals down first, and then I'm going to attach the stem to the back as well. So then whenever you turn it over, you see that beautiful flower sticking up. And if they don't stick at first, like my dandelion just fell off, and that's okay, just stick it down again. And then just continue to stick the flowers and the petals and the stems that you found. Here's my clover. With my clover, I'm actually going to rip the leaves off and just kind of place them all over my piece of contact paper. Just like that, I placed one right there. I'm going to place the rest and have fun with this. Be creative. Make it colorful and look awesome. So those are my clovers I just placed, my clover leaves I just placed on there. And then I have one more flower, my purple flower with the leaves. And I'm going to place this down at the bottom of my piece of contact paper. And you want to try to make these flowers and the leaves as flat as possible, so whenever you put your next piece on top, it's already sitting pretty flat for the other piece of contact paper. So what you're going to do is then take out your other piece of contact paper and peel off the sticky side. So this is the sticky side. And then you're going to take it and you're going to stick it down on top of all of those flowers and petals and leaves that you just collected, because this is going to keep everything in place so it can't fall off anymore. Try to line up the corners as much as possible. I didn't do too good of a job with that, but you want to try to line it up as much as possible so it sits down neatly on top of the other piece, just like this. And then if you have somewhere you didn't put it on exactly on top of the other piece, you can just fold over if you have any sticky edges so it's not sticky anymore. Just like that. I missed some corners, so I'm just folding it over. Do that at the top. And now inside of here, between our two pieces of contact paper, we have all those different flowers, all those different petals, all the different leaves and stems that we found. And now we can hang this up on the wall as a piece of art, or we can just keep it somewhere else. So this is your contact paper, different pieces of a flower activity. I hope you enjoyed!